With over 55,000 volunteer hours in the past year, our award participants are constantly getting involved with their communities and supporting those who need it most. To celebrate International Volunteers Day, we are so proud to be highlighting an inspiring, passionate participant who is curing loneliness with her organisation, Genafriend.
We obviously see what all the participants are doing in the award, and we see their activities, and this came across our desks a few weeks ago, and we were just so blown away. We started having a bit of a Google and seeing what you've been doing.
A little stalk.
Yeah, a little stalk. And just the concept itself was so awesome, but then to see the way that it has grown and expanded is just so inspiring, and we just love it. So I'd love you to talk about where it started and what sort of, gave you the idea and why you wanted to pursue it in the first place.
Yeah, totally. So I had been previously involved with just getting to know some elderly even before I started Genafriend. So my school had a connection with some restaurants around, so I would do some musical performances and maybe help them out with some tech. And also I was involved in interviewing some really incredible elderly people. And that's when I realized that, like, a lot of people call it community service, but really it's like the youth that get to interact with elderly people also gain just as much or even more, because they're so wise and, you walk away with a whole new perspective on life. So I just thought, why isn't this happening more? Because all the relationships, intergenerational relationships I know of are mostly just like grandparents and grandchildren. And there is really a stigma around this in youth because a lot of people just think it's boring and it's just like giving up their time to really help the elderly people. It's never thought of it as like a mutual friendship. And I really wanted to break that stigma. When lockdown came around, a lot of rest and retirement homes completely limit access to visitors. And that's a huge thing because some people don't even get visits, but if you do get visits, all of that outside contact is kind of cut off. And considering that most elderly people don't have a good grasp on technology, especially Zoom or FaceTime.
Yeah, I don't know how I would have got through lockdown without FaceTiming.
Exactly. So it would have been a very isolating and lonely place. And I talked to my grandfather who lives in a rest home in Korea, and he echoed those sentiments. So I think that's where it came from. And I had this like huge vision, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to unite New Zealand, like all of that really ambitious stuff. And then I kind of brought it back to the core, and I thought, let's just start with connecting youth and elderly people in New Zealand through phone calls and maybe Zoom calls. And that's when it started. I just contacted Settlers Village and we had a connection, and took it from there.
So awesome. And I love that it does as well come from, like, you spoke to your granddad and got his perspective. That's just so awesome. And I agree. I think we could all learn a couple of things from the elderly in our communities.
Definitely.
So that's where everything started, and now Genafriend has just grown so much. I have to say I was so impressed when I came across the website and saw that you have this whole team working together now. There's a social media manager and a web developer and a creative director, and what a cool opportunity for them as well to be involved. But I'd love to know how and why you built that team and what that process looked like.
Yeah, so I knew going into it because I had a big vision that like I couldn't manage alone. And especially because there were things like you said, like creative director, social media manager, things that I wasn't, a special like professional in. I really wanted this organization to be a student-led organization because it was for students and for elderly people. And so I think most people I knew already from some programs, maybe like things like Girl Boss Advantage and things like that. And also amazing people at our school as well that had a lot of expertise and like work experience in those fields. Otherwise, I also sent out a application form to a bunch of schools. So we read through those and we came across this amazing group of students, and they couldn't be better at their job. So it's really great. Nice. Usually we have like a bunch of community, communication channels. So obviously we have those Zoom meetings, but like Messenger and things and a lot of emails. We haven't been able to meet in person a lot, but yeah, that's just usually how we work together.
Awesome. And so you've got your kind of main team, and then I saw you've got your student rep team. So how do they work together? What's going on there?
So the student rep team was a new concept introduced this year. So we haven't been able to get too far with it, but it's in the works. We've selected 1 to 3 student reps per school that we've reached out to in Auckland. And the idea is that hopefully by next year, each of those student reps will have a club at their school, a Genafriend club. And the objective of that is, first of all, the volunteers that are involved in our calling program need someone to check in with. And as we expand, we're not able to manage all of those people. So we thought it would be a really great way if we had students from that school to have someone to talk to at their school in charge of that Genafriend branch. And also, on top of that, we wanted to have connections with multiple rest homes around New Zealand. So if we could have each school focus on rest homes around their geographical location, then we could really have like focus on a bunch of different rest homes and really get that impact. So each club would be in charge of, visiting those rest homes, and also have maybe conducting some projects with that rest home. Like maybe it could be an idea that was thrown around was like forming a band with some of the residents at the rest home and some students, and doing that weekly. So things like that. Yeah.
Oh, that is so fun. I hope that happens.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. So what have we got next? Oh yeah, so you've just spoken about how the student reps and that whole thing, how that's going to work hopefully in the future, in the near future. So if people are watching and they might be teachers or parents, or they might be young people themselves, how would they get involved, and what would that look like? Who would they talk to, and how would it go?
Oh, totally. Okay. So this is my little plug, I guess.
Yeah.
Our website is www.genafriend.org. And if you just go on there, there's a button called Join Us. And if you just want to volunteer to be a student volunteer, or if you want to join us as an elderly person, or if you're at like a retirement home that want to reach out to us, everything is streamlined on the website. If there are any other queries, then you could just reach out to us on our email address that's down below on our website. So yeah, or anything personal, just come talk to me as well. Just find me on any social media platform, and I'll be happy to help.
Cool. And I just want to finish and ask, obviously this is a big passion project for you, and it's something that's really close to your heart. So is there any particular story of an elderly person that you've connected with, or someone that has volunteered with the organisation you'd like to share with us?
So many experiences, really. I mean, I can think of 2 really good ones. So first one is Dorothy and Bridie. So Dorothy is an elderly person at Settlers Village, and Bridie is a student that has been talking to her since April until now, really, April last year. So it's been a long while, and they've connected firstly over our calling program. And because they are far apart, they haven't been able to go to our in-person visits as much. But because they connected so much, I think Bridie flew over to Auckland to visit Dorothy for a while. Aww. And there's also just a big connection between them revolving around science and engineering, because I think Dorothy's husband was teaching engineering at Auckland University, I think, and Dorothy has gone into engineering this year. But when she was a high school student, when she was first calling Dorothy, Dorothy actually sent her magazines that her husband used to read to her house as a birthday gift, so that she could read those. And I just thought that was a huge testament to the connection that there is between the elderly students.
Yeah, that's very much above and beyond kind of stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a real friendship, and I think that's such a cool thing. Maybe the second story is just when we went to one of our rest home visits. I came across two ladies. One was Korean and one was Kiwi, I think. And the Korean lady couldn't speak English. So she immigrated to New Zealand, but she lost her husband, which is really unfortunately like sudden. And so she just went to the rest home and she didn't have an opportunity to learn English. So all communication she could have in that rest home, because there was no other Korean person, was just like hellos and highs that she knew how to do. So her and this Kiwi lady had this friendship for almost 10 years, but all they had talked about was hi, and just, maybe physical communication. And I didn't know that, but I just realized that she was Korean and I was able to translate for her between this Kiwi lady and this Korean lady. And it was the first time we had talked to each other and like really gotten to know each other. They both had, I think, sons and daughters in Australia, and they never knew that. They never knew what jobs they had in the past. And it was just a really amazing moment just to be able to witness that and like just help them communicate. And since then, I've still kept in contact with both of them. So it's a really cool experience.
Well, I'm sure they are so grateful for that. That is so special. And I think everyone who has been involved will be, I'd love to talk to some of them about how much they appreciate it, because I think especially, like you say, in lockdowns and situations where we can't connect the way we used to, it's just so important. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that you've made a big difference to. So good work.
Thank you. I don't know. It's just helped me so much as well. So I don't know. I thank everyone that's been a part of it, right?
Well, thank you so much for giving up your time today. And I can't wait to share this story. Like I say, for people in the office, when I said this morning I was talking to you, they were like, oh, we're so excited.
Oh, man, why?
Oh, well, thanks so much, Evie. And really appreciate it. And I know that the whole community is going to love hearing this story. So thanks.
Thanks for reaching out. I'd love to talk to you as well. It was really lovely.